Greetings again everyone, and today I'm checking out the Voigtländer Nokton 40mm f1.2, the world's only full-frame 40mm f1.2 lens. It's currently available on Sony E, Canon RF and Nikon Z mounts. It's also available on Leica M mount, but that version has a longer minimum focus distance. It's a full-frame manual focus lens with manual aperture control, although it does electronically report EXIF information to your camera. It costs between $700 to $800 depending on where you find it, or £700 to £800 here in the UK. I'd like to thank Voigtländer's UK distributor for loaning me this lens for a couple of weeks for testing, although as usual this is a totally independent review. One of my favourite kind of lenses in the world are similar 35mm f1.2 optics for full-frame cameras. They give a super versatile, moderately wide-angle field of view, while blowing your backgrounds impressively out of focus for some seriously attractive images. But they tend to be enormous, heavy and pretty unaffordable, as you can see here. With this Voigtländer lens you get just a slightly tighter field of view of 40mm, but the same super bright aperture and in a much smaller and lighter package, so it's actually an attractive proposition, and because it's manual focus only, it's more affordable too. But of course that will slow down your shooting. Let's look at the lens's build quality first then, which is absolutely gorgeous. Voigtländer lenses rarely let you down in this department. It's fairly small for a full-frame f1.2 lens, it's metallic and its weight is 420 grams. A minor letdown is that the lens has no visible weather sealing around its mount. The main control on the lens is a broad metallic focus ring which turns beautifully smoothly with just the right weight to it, and with a turn of about 180 degrees it's precise enough for focusing at f1.2 without any trouble. As you can see here, though, the lens suffers from pretty major focus breathing in use, zooming in as you focus more closely. In front of the focus ring comes the aperture ring. It turns beautifully with gentle clicks, evenly spaced at each third of an f-stop, and the aperture mechanism has 10 straight iris blades. We'll see what kind of sunstars it produces in a few minutes. Even though it's a manual aperture mechanism, your aperture does get reported electronically to the camera. The lens does not come with a hood, and its filter thread size is 58mm. It does not feature image stabilization. Overall, gorgeous build quality here, and it handles and focuses very well, although of course it'll take a bit of practice for anyone who isn't used to manually focusing. Next, image quality. I'm testing it today on a Nikon Z7 camera with its 45MP full frame sensor. At f1.2, image sharpness in the middle is okay, although we're seeing low contrast and some ghosting on contrasting edges. f1.4 sees a tiny improvement in contrast, but it's at f2 that we finally get perfect sharpness and contrast in the middle. Let's open the aperture back up to f1.2. Now, the lens's resolution holds out throughout most of the image frame, but the very edges are obviously pretty soft. f1.4 is about the same. Stopping down to f2 sees a good improvement though, and f2.8 looks excellent in the corners now, except for a touch of colour fringing on contrasting edges. Here's f4, where image quality is now razor sharp from corner to corner. The lens stays this sharp down to f8. Stop down to f11 or darker, and the image begins to get softer again due to diffraction. Overall, I do wish this lens was sharper at its brightest apertures. After all, that's what you're paying for here, but its images are still perfectly usable, and at least it does sharpen up quickly when you stop down. Let's turn off in-camera corrections and take a look at distortion and vignetting. Distortion is well corrected here, although there's obviously just a pinch of it visible in the extreme corners. The bigger problem of course is the lens's very strong vignetting at f1.2. It's about the same at f1.4, but at f2, f2.8 and f4, those corners do begin to brighten up. On Leica M mount, the lens's minimum focus distance is a slightly long 50cm, but on every other mount it's a respectable 35cm, offering a decent close-up shooting experience. Unfortunately, at f1.2, close-up image quality is even softer than before. f1.4 is about the same. However, simply stop down to f2 and that close-up image quality becomes fantastically sharp. So, if you are shooting close-up, definitely stop down to f2. Let's see about work against bright light. Unfortunately, more problems here. Even when bright lights are away from the image frame, the lens displays a lot of flaring, as you can see. Stop down to f2, as I do here, and some of that glaring is reduced, but still, it's a poor performance. And while we're shooting in the dark, let's take a look for coma and sun stars. Whoa! Coma levels are pretty wild here. It's the same story at f1.4. f2 sees a big improvement though, and at f2.8, coma is gone. Let's move the camera a little and look for sun stars then. They are already emerging at f4. They gradually get stronger as you stop down to f8 and f16, so that's a bonus. Next, bokeh. It's mostly good news here. The lens's out of focus backgrounds mostly look quite soft, although difficult backgrounds, such as foliage, can add a layer of complexity. And finally, related to bokeh comes longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's very strong on this lens at f1.2 and even stop down to f2. At f2.8 though, it's mostly gone, and at f4 it's totally gone. So, overall, technically, this 40mm lens is a weak performer at bright apertures, suffering from problems with softness, coma, vignetting, and flaring. It's not a lens for anyone seeking critical sharpness at bright apertures, although from about f2.8, it does become impressively sharp. Still though, even at f1.2, it's still able to get rather lovely images for you. Its unique and attractive parameters as a 40mm f1.2 optic, and its small size and pleasant manual focus experience mean that, while this is definitely not a lens for the masses, I can still imagine a few photographers out there who will seriously consider it and enjoy it. I love getting all kinds of different lenses reviewed for you all. I've been doing it for 15 years now and I'm not sick of it yet, which is great. I want to say a huge thanks as usual to my Patreon supporters and channel members who so generously help to keep this YouTube channel going sponsorship free. Supporters get all kinds of exclusive bonus content, so check it out, and ciao for now.